Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She has so many aspects to her that support and help others. And I've heard the term that art is therapeutic, art can heal. I never connected that to her because she does so many other things. she she is somebody that has earned a PhD in philosophy, therapeutic counseling. She is clairvoyant, has studied that, and inspirational speaking and teaching, but we've never gotten into the art side of her. We're going to delve into that and how it supports others with Dr. Janine Ambrose, who is back with us. Welcome back. How you doing?
Well, I just took a drink of water and it kind of, anyway,
And I'm
very well.
watching you,
Very
and
well.
I think I'm getting verklempt just from that. So
Excuse me.
I've
You're feeling it.
I got to clear my throat. Right, when somebody yawns, the other one yawns, right?
That's right. That's right.
I I've seen the art gallery section of your website, and I'm gonna be honest, love what you do, really do. I never connected that in terms of helping others. I just thought it was your way to express. But the more and more I look at all of this work, that art is healing, can heal others. I see it in a different way, a different way. What was your inspiration to begin your artistic journey?
Well, actually, I've never taken an art class in my life. And when my kids were in parochial school, there was no art. So I started an inner artist program after school and brought in artists from the college to teach watercolor. And I did sculptures and things like that just because it was just inside me. Okay. That's the only way I can describe it. And then I started another organization at the YWCA called Cultural Arts. And that was for my teenage kids so that I could bring in art there too. And then when I was taking care of my dad, working a job, and I had two small kids, at night I would stay up and it was just like therapy for me. I just started what I call doodling
Hmm.
and it turned into art. But it was very healing for me.
Can I share something?
Sure. Absolutely.
So when I was a kid, I would draw cartoons. I wanted to be a cartoonist. I studied everything. I would write to cartoonists. Sometimes they would send original art and I would stare at it for hours, like how they did that, what kind of pen they use, what kind of pencil they use, what kind of medium they put it on. This is almost kind of weird to even admit this. I only recently realized that I was drawing to heal. My parents got divorced. I was bullied. Had a lot going on as a kid. I never saw it that way. I was just doing it. And then I realized it that I'm talking in the last month. I'm not kidding. I was like, oh, that's probably why you were doing that. And I almost became a syndicated cartoonist, but at the same time, I loved radio. So I was kind of looking at both of them and would play in both. And then eventually got a job in radio. I didn't have a driver's license. My mom had to drive me to the radio station, and that's where I began. And then I stepped off of cartooning and art in my low 20s at that. I almost became syndicated and then moved off from that. But now I realize why I was doing it. Just what you said, to heal.
Well, and I think our brain, I don't know how my brain works. When I was doing insurance and getting my insurance license, I had to doodle to listen to him because he was talking from his head. And if I would have just stared at him, I wouldn't have absorbed it. So when I would doodle and draw while he was talking, I was absorbing it. So I think everybody learns differently.
Mm,
So art
mm.
has always been a form of me being able to absorb information too.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen even people who are clairvoyant, psychic, if you will, um, true gifts that they have. And I'm
Mhm.
skeptical, and to me, it's the real deal. I don't know how they're doing it, but they would sit there and doodle while they're getting something to share with somebody else. You know, a loved one coming through. They would doodle. They would doodle. Um, by the way, I just got another flash in my mind. The comic strip that I would draw was my life. It was my junior high and high school life. The characters were based on people around me. The main character was me, but I just like I mean, decades later, I figured out why I was doing it to express and kind of maybe process. There was always a punchline in the comic strip. It wasn't anything serious or deep, but it was the way I would look at things. And even, one dude who never talked, had dark glasses on and long hair and a beard. That was somebody in my high school, and or it was my English teacher. He was a cool dude, but he never, he never really expressed himself. But it's funny when you see these things or others inspire like you, then you see it come a little more clear. Your art is so detailed. Got to tell you, it almost looks like it's computer generated. Mind blowing. Like, I'm seriously, I don't know how you do it.
It's with a pen. I do some of them would take a month to draw.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fun, and I never had an intention. I just sat down and I started scribbling. I closed my eyes and I started scribbling. And then I sat and looked at it and started to fill it in. And I want to teach classes in that because I really think art, music, writing connects you to your soul, to the higher vibrations, that are around us at all times. And it brings such a peace. It really does. Balance.
Yeah. Adult coloring books were a thing a few years ago, still floating out there. It kind of reminds me your art could be that. If somebody wanted therapy in coloring in a design, that is what you kind of do in some of the pieces that I've seen.
Well, and I bought some art from a guy from Bali, and it has a mandala and it has a lotus flower, and the other piece I have has gold in it. And when you look at it, you can feel the effect on you. Mandalas have an effect on you, have an effect on your brain. So, and I have a daughter that's an artist. Well, actually, three of my children, or actually four, are all artists. So, yeah, it's fun.
Wow.
It's really fun.
Can you show us something?
Sure. Uh, I don't know what this is. I'm just going to show it to you. Do I have it centered?
Yes, you do.
Okay,
Uh,
and it's on my website too.
wow. Wow. I can't, I don't want to say I can't do that, but it would take me a long time to get in the rhythm of doing something like that. How do you describe it? Is it an abstract? Like, where are you pulling the inspiration from? Like, you could see an eye, you could see a nose, you see a design. Like, where's it come from?
I when you go into that altered state like that, when you're doing art, music, writing, it flows through you. You've expanded yourself. And I'll give
Hmm.
you an example. I wrote a song once and I didn't do anything with it. Michael Jackson came out with the song. So it made me realize that all of this is floating. And all we have to do is open up and it comes through because we can do anything. I didn't know I couldn't do art. I didn't know I couldn't write books. I didn't know that I couldn't do something, so I did it. And so if we can get that blockage out of our mind, it's amazing what we can do. We are amazing.
Hmm. The blockage is big.
Yeah,
Yeah. How do we overcome that?
just do it. Like my yogi told me, she lives her whole life by 3 years. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just do
I'm trying to apply that, Nike, just do it.
it.
Um, how do you look at that? So let's say there are things in your life and you feel that you're afraid to let go of something, afraid to move in a certain direction. How do you get to the point of just do it? Just go.
Well, when I had the fire, it devastated me for a short time. And then I started focusing on getting my website up. I have a choice. Every day you have a choice on what you do with your time.
Hmm.
And I just was not going to feel sorry for myself. I was just going to move forward. And it takes strength. But when you do that, it's so empowering. It's
Hmm.
so empowering. You can overcome anything. Not that you're going to forget it, but you can overcome it and move forward. We're only here for a short time.
When you say empowering, does it feel, when you use that word, is it more like you've taken control? Yeah. Whereby things are controlling you, or you're allowing things to control you. And I don't even mean people. I mean just situations where, let's say you're in not a great relationship and you're afraid to let it go because you're afraid of, not finding somebody over here or whatever it might be. So you hold on to things, or you have blockages and you feel that you can't prosper. Uh, just letting go of things and just moving forward takes courage, though.
Oh, well, I have my youngest daughter got into math, and I came to a point when she was in her early 20s, I had to let her go and let her learn. And when it's your own children, it's the hardest thing to do because you want to save your children. But at some point, you have to focus on what you need to do to live your life and be happy. And now everything's going much better for her. But at the time, it was very difficult to let that go.
Not bad. Not bad. How did you help? How did you support?
Support her.
Yeah.
Well, I would say I was rather codependent. I kept trying to save her. And I think I bought her 4 cars and 5 phones. And I got her apartments and she get kicked out. And finally, I just went, that's it. That's it. I'm done. And I had to not talk to her either, because when people are on those drugs, they're master manipulators. And I'm real sensitive. So yeah, it was a powerful,
Hmm.
powerful awakening for me.
Would you say that that's the definition of tough love?
Yeah. Uh, Although I know that you're supposed to take care of your children until at least they're 21, because it's how the brain works. But yes, I finally got to that point where I needed to focus on my life. And my dad had passed, so I wasn't taking care of him, so I could move forward.
Do you
And I
feel,
literally moved out of town, away from her. I moved to a different city
well,
because I
they,
had to
they
cut
say
it.
we
Oh
enable
yeah,
as
yeah,
parents, and it
absolutely.
comes from a good place. And I'm not saying it's wrong. It's because you care and you love, but
Yes.
we all of us have free will to make choices. Sometimes, we make the wrong choice or not the best supportive choice, but ultimately we have choices. Um, how long
Well,
have you
love
been
it. What? Excuse me.
in terms of art? How long have you been doing that?
Oh, man, I don't. Well, I started with the kids and did sculptures. I taught at the UU, and we did sculptures, and I taught some art there. So it's been quite a few years. But I want to show you another piece. Now,
Sure.
this I was having a struggle with women and seeing their sadness, seeing all the diversities and emotions that women go through. And so unconsciously, I drew this one, which I call Women. And it kind of I would say it shows where women are hiding, women are
Hmm.
half there, women are
Hmm.
happy. And I didn't even know I was drawing it till I was done. And then Dove showed up in it. So it was,
Wow. I honestly don't know how you do that. I really.
well, you need to try it. It's really fun. Like you
Hmm.
have time, but this I did in the middle of the night. And here's another one I did that's called Faces. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, totally.
And
Yeah.
there's probably, I don't know how many faces in there.
Where when you do this, amazing. It truly is. Do you have intention like the one for women where you're thinking, I'm going to do something that might
No,
support? No?
I never had intention. I would just sit down and scribble and it just comes through.
Have you
And
ever
then,
done it with your eyes closed?
well, I do it when I begin it. I close my eyes and I scribble and just let the designs come out. And then I fill it in. But as far as with my eyes closed, no, I start to see things when I look at it. And then and I'm terrible at art. If you told me to draw a dog, I could not draw a dog or a cat. I don't even know if it would look like that.
Wow. But these are so meticulous and detailed. For me, I call it maybe abstract, but it's not completely abstract. There's something going on there. There's a theme infused in it. Um, and the longer now I'm looking on your website, the longer I look at them, the more I pick up on an energy that's coming through, or look at it in a different way. Uh, it's so detailed. Like that's the part that blows me away. Like what kind of I'm gonna get technical. What kind of pen you using?
You know, I just use pens. I like kind of the gels, but then they can smear. But then when I really started to get into it more, I went out and bought some really nice pens. But then life changed and I haven't really gotten back. I am working on one piece that's not quite done. Let me get it real quick.
Sure.
And I started this by going out. I started this while I was sitting in the park. And it's kind of a big piece, but you can see I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of different things. There's a tree in it, and birds always show up in my drawings. There's a bumblebee.
I see that. That's one of the first things I saw.
So yeah. So this is one I've been working on this a long time because I haven't taken the time to finish it. But I noticed down here I wrote love.
Oh, wow.
And I did do one for my grandchildren, and I hid 25 words in it. So as they grew up, they would have to find in bigger words like enlightenment and just all kinds of things. So I give that to them.
Wow. Do you ever begin drawing and then say, it's not coming out right, and then you just rip it up and throw it away?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even playing the piano. Sometimes I sit down to play and I go, oh, no, I'm just not there today. And that's okay.
That's one thing I struggled with. I killed 15 forests of paper. I would start drawing something and just be like and throw it out. And I would do it again. And if you saw it, you'd say, "What are you doing? They look exactly the same." But to me, I saw wasn't exactly perfect, and I was stuck on perfectionism for a lot of my life. For a lot, I let it all go like 5 years ago for sure. But I was stuck on it, and unfortunate because I probably could have done so much more if I didn't worry about how it looked or how others would perceive it to look.
With my book, I had someone from the college critique it. And he he was like getting his doctorate in journalism, and he took all my adjectives out. And my adjectives to me, it's the feeling in what I write. So I just, after I paid him, I just threw out what he did and kept what I had.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to ask you what type of paper you use, and I just saw on your website you did one on loose leaf paper with lines.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. And any of it I've done has not been on the paper that most artists would use. I just go to Dollar Tree or Dollar General or
Sure.
Target and just grab some, and
Hmm. Yeah.
I didn't spend a lot.
Would you say for anybody watching or listening that this is very therapeutic? Even if you think you have no art ability, start doodling. Let it flow.
Absolutely. Just don't critique yourself. Like all those TV shows I did, I've never watched them. I don't, and like they said, did you watch a podcast? No, I didn't. I don't want to critique myself. I just want to share and love people,
Yeah.
maybe help them.
Hmm.
It's not about me.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't look back at stuff anymore anyway. It's just let it go. Whatever comes out, and that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the, universal feel that I get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm getting that from the way you do art, where you just let it go. Whatever comes out. I'm honestly going to try. and not copy what you're doing, but that abstract style where everything kind of pieces together without overthinking it. I'm going to try it.
Kind of like life. Life is a puzzle. And so art is kind of like a puzzle, I guess is a good analogy. I call it soul art.
That is so spot on. Seriously though, it's coming from your soul when you're creating anything. You especially, like I totally feel your energy going into it. Um, do you think ahead of time what you're going to do at all, or you just start doodling?
No, so when I first started doing my art, I thought it was funny. So I called it Zen Tinkle. And they go, what? And they start laughing, I made a joke out of it. And then the more I looked at it, I thought, this is soul art. It's soul writing, it's soul music. When you close your eyes and it comes through you, or like when I'd be working on my book, a whole day would go by and I didn't even know it went by because you're not in the world anymore. You're
Hmm.
of the world. That's a good way to put it.
I had a weird dream last night, and it was a creative dream, and it was sort of an idea that centered in one area, but it's an idea that I could make larger. And it was so detailed,
Neat.
bizarre. Yeah. And I usually don't have those. It was just, and I have to take in and process it. Like what can I do with this? It was a concept for someone, but I can take it and use it on a grander scale. And it's almost as if the universe was saying, you need to do this. You need to do this because it was so detailed. I never have dreams like that. Really weird. I don't know.
So what are you going to do with it?
I have to write it down. I
There you
have it.
go.
Even very descriptive names and things like that. I have to write it down and I'll share it with who it's intended for. But there's a greater picture within this, and I have to just get my arms around it. Only for the reason
Yeah.
that I had such this clear dream about it. Like it was like pushing, like a pushing kind of dream. Like here you go, here's more. Take this,
Prophetic. It was a prophetic dream.
maybe. And I have, space in my office here over there that is like going to waste. And that's where it would be executed. So I don't know.
Hey, I also wanted to talk about my son's documentary that just came out.
Please.
It's called Taken Together. And it was the two Evansdale's girls that were taken, and it took a while for them to find them, and they were murdered. But the thing that's so interesting about this, when my son was younger, Dylan, who does the documentary, he was almost taken, and he came running home and came in the house, and he was like devastated. And I actually had to send him to counseling to get him to go out of the house because it was such a trauma for him. So when he was the top cameraman for KWWL in Waterloo, Iowa, um, this happened and he covered it. And so it's taken him 12 years of hundreds of interviews and putting this together. And he wrote the music, he's the director of it. And it's so powerful because of the passion he put into it
Wow.
because of his own journey, I guess.
Wow. And you said it's a documentary.
Yes. And it's number 2 on Max right now.
How do we find it?
Go to Max, HBO Max. It's on there, taken together. And it's
Hmm.
just really powerful. And I'm not promoting it. What I'm saying is after he went through this, see how certain things we go through in life create our destiny. I mean, it guides us, the difficult things guide us to where we need to go to help people on this world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it goes back to, I think you believe in it. Uh, when they say it happens for a reason.
Everything does.
So maybe his experience and those girls led to the documentary, and there will be a reason. It might change lives. It may create awareness, all of that.
Yes. And and it comes from the heart. That's the whole thing. It goes back to the heart.
Yeah.
And I want to share real quick, because I know we're coming out of time, affirmation that I do. Because when we focus on something and we speak it and we believe it, we create it, correct? Inevitably, maybe not in our own time, but I say that I glow with love physically and touch everyone I see. My words have love and touch and heal everyone I see. And when I look at someone, I touch them with love and change them. And if we have an affirmation like that, it's funny, people will call me up and say, I just want to hear your voice. And I'm sure they do that with you. You have that type of voice, Steve. You have a real upbeat, empowering voice.
I think that of you. And my mom always said to me, you always have a smile in your voice. Even when I was a kid and she used to listen to me, on the radio. You do too. There's something there. I can't even put it together, but there's a certain intent. Not like you're trying. It's just there. Maybe it's the love. Maybe that's what it is.
So simple.
Yeah.
But it's a journey getting there, isn't it?
Blank, yeah. For sure. Every day, there's an element of that journey that we're working our way through. I'm going to message you so I can get that quote again, because I'm part of a men's group. They made me the shaman, and I'm going to share that with the group.
Awesome.
And this is, they think I'm the smartest man in the room. I just take little tidbits from people like you. and why? Because I believe the universe put us here so I can share through podcasts and such. Your website is docja.pro. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Where you can see all of your stuff, including your art. Thank you for sharing today. You inspire. You truly inspire. Oh, well, thank you. I'm just doing me. Whatever comes out, comes out. No filter, I'd like to say, but just do your thing. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Okay. Thanks. And I'm going to look for your son's documentary tonight. Not kidding.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.